Hello, welcome to Poemify Podcast. At Poemify Podcast, we give you the best of African poetry, music, and creative arts discussed. In other words, we amplify and redefine African literature. Once again, welcome to Poemify Podcast. Happy listening.
We are back. We are back with more juice, more life, more energy, more spice. You know. This is Poemify Podcast. For those who don't know what we do here, we do know what we do. Yeah. So, for the benefit of those tuning in for the first time, I am your host, Oluwatosin Isaac. I sing, I talk, I act, I write. But right now, let's talk the talk. You get it? Now, you want to know more about Poemify Podcast? Let me let you in on something. Now, Poemify Podcast is a poetry and art talk show podcast where we celebrate the beauty and diversity of African art. We feature interviews with African artists, poets, and other creatives who draw inspiration from the rich cultural heritage of Africa. So if you know that you are a lover of art, poetry, or African culture, this podcast is for you. Tune into our podcast and join us on this exciting journey of discovery and creativity. So last week, for those who tuned in, we had Mr. Jeff Iwu on the podcast and we learned a lot. We learned a whole lot. We got to know his challenges and how he made it through. So it was an interesting session, and his book, The Verdict of the Gods, very, very interesting book. I'd implore you all, please get this book. You would love it, honestly. From an aspiring writer to fellow aspiring writers, please, you gotta get it, because we do know what we do here. And so last week, I mentioned the MadWriter. Because even if I want to know who the MadWriter is. So the MadWriter is joining us on today's episode. I wanna know. Do you wanna know? But let me tell you a little bit about the MadWriter. The MadWriter is also known as Tochukwu Precious Easy, who is an author and the founder of Dial's Words and a mental health awareness African. So he's also known as the MadWriter. And we'll be here discussing his recently published book, Hypnosis. So if you want to know more about it, the MadWriter and Tochukwu Precious Easy, and his recently published book, Hypnosis, join me. So, shall we? Let's go. Okay, welcome to today's session, the MadWriter. I'm so happy to have you on today's session with me. I'm so happy to have you on today's episode. I gave them a sneak peek to whom I'll be interviewing today, and like the MadWriter, that name makes people want to know who the MadWriter is. So please, can you introduce yourself? Can you tell us who is the MadWriter?
So I often find myself in this place where I'm caught between two characters. So I'm trying to figure out if I am the MadWriter right now or if I am Tochukwu Precious Essay, because the truth is that two different people. And you're asking to know the MadWriter. And the MadWriter is a person who places laughter over virtually everything else, who believes that we can make the world a better place by just making ourselves laugh. And he does this through art generally, but mostly storytelling. So he likes to tell stories, and that is what he is fundamentally. He's a storyteller. So he writes poetry, he writes prose, he does comedy, however you choose to look at it. But it all rotates around the core values, trying to promote peace, healthy living, healthy minds, healthy thinking, and just generally laughter. So that's what the MadWriter does, and he just mostly does it on social media. That's everything about the MadWriter that you might want to know.
Okay, thank you for introducing us to the MadWriter. Hope you all have heard who the MadWriter is. So please now, can you introduce Tochukwu Precious Easy to us? Who is Tochukwu Precious Easy? We want to know more about him.
Okay, so Tochukwu Precious Easy, as you probably have figured out, is not as interesting as the MadWriter for the sole purpose or for the single reason that he's not mad. So he's a thinner version of the MadWriter. Tochukwu Precious is a storyteller as well. So and he writes. Enough of the he. I write. I do prose. I write poetry. I write plays. I've been writing for a very long time. At some point in my life, I kind of fell in love with the concept of writing. So I see myself as an artist, and ever since then, I've just been exploring those gifts, pushing myself, trying to test my boundaries and see just how much I can accomplish with writing. So I have published. I started with publishing with magazines, a good number of them. Then I ventured into working on book projects. My first chapbook was published by Poets in Nigeria, and their chapbook series, the second edition, is titled Tobe. I went from there to publish my second chapbook titled Agu. Then I published Adeze. Adeze is a novella. Adeze is a novella. Then I published a collection of poems, published Dreamer, and then Hypnosis. So I have published books in poetry and prose thus far. And then, but in the very concise form, or if I'm meant to describe myself or introduce myself in one word, it would be artist. And maybe if I had two words, I would include storyteller, because that's what I see myself as. I tell stories however I can. So I'm always looking for an opportunity to tell a story. And then I'm deeply into art. I'm an appreciator of art of any form really, and I try to create art whenever I can. It gives me a sense of purpose. So that's who Tochukwu Precious is.
Oh my God, you said thinner version, but still, you're not so no. You just raised the bar. So from an artist like me to the fellow artists like you, I want to say, well done, kudos, well done. I'm an artist too. I'm also an artist, but in the food ministry. Just like how you're torn between two personalities of the MadWriter and Tochukwu Precious Easy, me, I'm torn between Oluwatosin Isaac and Iyadodo. So my own art is Dodo, but the art is the art of eating the Dodo. I hope you get. So we are all artists in our own way. So I hope you appreciate my art too, because we are all artists in our own little way. Nice to know this much about you. Nice to know this much about you. So, moving on to the next question before we go into your recently published book, Hypnosis. Who's your favorite author? Do you have a favorite author? Is there somebody's work you admire a lot? Who?
So before I answer your question, I just want to drift a little bit. So I took a while to acquaint myself with your character before this conversation, because I needed more concepts. So, and the part about Dodo was hard to miss because because it's hard to miss, and I relate to it. I do appreciate your art, and I relate a lot to it because I feel the same way, only towards something else and something more magnificent, which is beans. So, but that's enough of the drift. And the question is quite an easy one. Anyone who knows me personally knows that I have an author who I adore really, and her name is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This probably would be the same answer you'd get from many other young Nigerian, and I dare say African writers. And the reason is simple. There's no rocket science to it. She's just amazing when it comes to writing, right? So she's hands down my favorite author. If I'm like to pick one person, it's definitely Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie.
Oh, thank you so much. Finally, someone who understands, someone who gets it. And beans and dodo, they go well together. Have you tried that combination? No, let me even ask you. You must have. It's heavenly. Yeah, it's heavenly. Thank you so much. I am so happy. Alright. Yeah, Chimamanda, she's really amazing. She's good at what she does, and I just love how she puts her work out there, makes so beautiful. She just beautiful in and out, and I give it to her. Now, do you have a writing routine? When do you write? When do you find it more comfortable to write? Can you write where it is noisy, or you want your environment to be quiet before you can write? Do you listen to music while writing, or you have to take a nap to get your head cleared before you wake up and then start penning down? So what are your writing routines, if you have any?
Right, my writing routine. So I don't have much of a routine when it comes to writing. Most things that I've written, the only thing that has been constant has been the inspiration. So before I write, I need to be inspired first. I need to feel like I want to write. I need to feel what I'm writing. That's the only constant. And inspiration comes in very different ways. So, but when I think of my writing, or when I try to piece it all together, we try to find if there's a pattern, I just find how diverse things my writing has been, or the creative process. So I would answer this question by saying that it depends majorly on the project that I'm working on. So because each book has its mood. Some books are happy, some stories are happy, some poems are happy, some projects are happy, some are sad, some are just gloomy, right? And if I'm working on a project that requires me to be in that state, I can't turn up the music, be groovy, and I'm trying to write a sad poem. So, and apart from the mood, so it's tailored to what project I'm working on. So let me use this as an example. When I wrote Adeze, for example, Adeze was written, I just know that I woke up one morning. I don't even remember if I woke up that morning knowing that I wanted to write so much. But all of a sudden, I just wanted to write the story, right? And I sat and I began to type. I sat there for long hours, typing. And if anyone tried to disturb me, I just flipped on the person. I didn't want to stop. I kept on at it till I finished after long hours. And it went straight like that from the beginning to the end. Now, a lot changed from that draft that I had to what eventually came out as the novella Adeze. A lot changed within that time. But no other project that I've worked on has taken that route. For other ones, I maybe want to write a poem today and keep it, and then try to revisit the project after say 2 days, right? So there's no routine. It depends on what project I'm working on, and depends on the mood, the theme, and just how inspired I get, or how often I get inspired. So that's the only thing I can say. There's no routine. I can decide to wake up in the middle of the night to write. I can decide to write in the afternoon. Now there's also the general preference. I prefer to write where there is calm. I don't like when I'm getting distracted as I write, especially if it's prose. However, with poetry, I can bear to listen to music as I write. So, well, I'm all over the place. Point is, it depends on what I'm working on. There really is no pattern to it. It depends on whatever I'm working on at the time.
That's nice. Very, very nice. So last question before we discuss your recently published book. What are your hobbies? Do you have any hobby? What do you like doing?
Okay, this is a difficult question. And mostly difficult because when people ask for hobbies, they are most times trying to find. The real question then is, how do you socialize? So, and I find that I'm a recluse. I'm very close to antisocial, dangerously close to antisocial. But back to the question, I really enjoy writing. I don't know if that goes without saying, but I say it to say that I enjoy writing. I enjoy reading African literature, African poems, stories, everything. I enjoy watching movies as well. I'm really very interested in, well, like I always say, I'm a storyteller, so movies is something that interests me a lot. The act of making it, I'm always invested in it, right? And I like sports. I like football. I like boxing. I love to watch. I don't play anymore, but I love to watch. That's a lot. I don't think I've had this many answers for this question, so I'm on a roll today, really. So, but I think that just about covers it. And I like to talk when it's an interesting topic. I like to talk. Other times I just love to listen to people, because, well, when you listen to people, you get to learn, and I love learning. It's just like reading, right? But there's the formal education and there's the education that's not so formal. So when you relate to people, when you listen to them, you tend to get a grasp of how the minds work or where they are at different times. So these are my hobbies. Those are the things I enjoy doing.
I like it. Your hobbies are really hobbying. They're hobbying. Interesting. You don't have to go all out to do the things people tag as normal. Like in your own way, your hobbies, they are top notch. They're still great. They're great. So now, down to the book. We're going to your recently published book. The book. When I went through the book, my eyes were glued and my emotions were stirred. Like how you knitted your words. God, it's something everyone should experience. And what I love about the book, what even made me interested, was the introduction. If you can recall Merlin with the intro of Made in the Land of Myths and Magic. When I came to introduction of the book, and I quote, it says, "Through this door, there have been 4 murders. You are the killer, you are the victims, and this is your story." It wants any person reading the book to be like, I want to know what's happening. This is my story. So where does this lead? And with the good luck part, I want to see how it's gonna end. So tell me, or tell us more about your book. What is your book all about?
Right. First, I'm glad that you enjoyed reading the book. It's something that I always hope for, especially with poetry. And I use the word hope because we can't always assume, we can't always assume that we write. We only hope with poetry that our readers get to feel what we've done. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Then, down to the book Hypnosis. So I find sometimes for some of my books it's easier to describe the book, like the entire book. For some it's a bit more difficult, and hypnosis falls more towards the difficult side because it's not so easy to explain. No, the book is the project in itself. It's a collection of poems. It has 20 poems that I divided into 4 parts. So the very central idea was to capture the lives and the emotions of people who we would term unusual in the world today. And I still use the word unusual loosely, very loosely, because let's say it's because I can't think of any better words right now. So, but we live in a world where there are certain standards and there are certain we don't encourage peculiarity much in our world today. We don't encourage differences. Everybody wants to fit in. Everybody wants to be just like everyone else, right? And then when we see someone who stands out, someone who is a certain way that's different from what we are familiar with, we tend to react. One way or another, we tend to react. So I just wanted to capture some of their lives, and that's what the book does, at least most of it. So the first part is about a woman who suffers postpartum psychosis, and that is a mental condition, of course. Most times when I write my bio, I always include that I am a mental health enthusiast. Reason is because it will always reflect in my writing, right? So the first part is about a woman who suffers from postpartum psychosis. The second part is about a woman who has lived with what is it called now? With abuse, violence, and everything. And then there's a boy who doesn't feel safe in his body, a boy who likes to express it a certain kind of way, and to be very blank in the way that it was portrayed, a boy who acts like a girl. Then finally about a boy whose eyes are a different color. So that is me just being plain about what the poems are about, or at least what concepts they play around. So you can see in their lives that there are subjects in their lives that we wanted to highlight, that we wanted to put the light on and try to access their minds, try to be them for a while. That's the idea. Try to become these people for a while, so that we understand what it feels to be them, how it feels to be them, at least even if just for, let's say, a minute or two. So that's, in very basic words, just what the book does. It takes you and it puts you in the mind of a person who you have watched from the outside. You know this person probably lives very close to you, so you know them, you look at them and you say, that person is different. So, but for a while, you become that person. You're in their mind, you feel how they feel. And that's what the book does. At least that's what it hopes to do. That's what the aim was while I wrote. And like I said, when I began, we can only hope that we achieve all the things we set out to achieve with poetry.
Thank you so much for telling us about hypnosis. You really did capture the how will I put it? You captured the emotions. Like the readers would actually feel the message you're trying to pass. They would get the message you're trying to pass, and for the seconds, the milliseconds or the minutes reading through those words, they would actually feel what those people are feeling, and they'll have the opportunity to walk in the same shoes those people are walking in, and see what they're facing in the society as a whole, and how it's been difficult or rather impossible for them to be understood, because everybody looks at them with different perspective, and sometimes it's disheartening when they are just being looked upon and not being seen for whom they are and how they can be helped if possible. Thank you so much. So moving on to the next question, you said hypnosis is an experiment form of poetry for you. Can you please enlighten us? How is that an experiment form? Like, is there something you did in this present work, your recently published book?
Yes, I said that. I mentioned that in the book. Now, for starters, I need to. I think this calls for some build up. So first, I started writing poetry at some point. I began my journey with poetry a very long time ago. So I was writing poetry steadily, growing in my writing, doing better, sometimes falling back. So but after I published Mirror, and Mirror was great, not just because I thought it was. A lot of people loved Mirror, but after I published Mirror, the full-length poetry book, I did not write poetry for a very long time. And I mean as long as over 3 months. Not because, well, for starters, I wanted to take a break. I felt like I needed a break, but it just felt like I blinked and then it was 3 months gone and I didn't know how to write poetry again. So the next thing I worked on was hypnosis. When I taught myself all over again to write poetry, a lot had changed about my poetry, and I discovered that as I worked on hypnosis. So that's by the way. Now, if you follow my poetry from Tobe down to Agro to Mirror and then to Dreamer, you will find that I have always been experimental, at least to a certain degree. For my first collection, I had prose acting as the prologue before the poetry. For the second collection, I had a letter, I had prose, I had poetry, all put together in the collection Agro, which came out beautifully as well. So I can go on and on, but for each project I try to do something. I try to experiment with something that maybe has been done, but something I haven't seen enough of, or something that I just got an idea of. So when I got to hypnosis, if you study the style of the poetry, now some of the poems were written in styles that I hadn't written before. Now, looking at the poem Binary, looking at the poem the first one, I'm not trying to remember the first poem that was published. So, but Binary, the style with which it was written, that was pretty much experimental to me. Not because people weren't doing it, but I was still, learning, trying to put things together, trying to tell a story and then write poetry, play between the boundaries of prose and poetry, and just make it into, a poetic piece. So that contributes to the experiment that happened there. And then in the general sense, the book, and I titled it Hypnosis for this very reason, because when I write poetry normally, I mostly try to not be so assertive in the writing. I try to leave a lot open to interpretation. I try to just paint a picture and let you admire, right? But for hypnosis, it wasn't enough to paint the picture. I needed to grab the readers and pull them into the picture. So hypnosis was a lot more assertive than I would have liked my poetry to be, or than my poetry had been before then, right? So the experiment really Now, aside from everything else that I've said, which all contribute to the project that came out as hypnosis, the major experiment there was, but before I started, I asked myself how best to grab the readers. And when I say grab, I don't mean grab books, I mean reach out from the book and grab them, then pull them into this picture, into this story, and have them become these characters. And that's why you would see just how assertive. At some point you might begin to wonder if this is still poetry, or if this person is maybe a preacher, or just going, being very direct. So that all that put together contributes to the experiment, right?
Thank you so much for the beautiful answers. Yeah, it's actually nice to try new things, and I love the fact that you get your hands on new ways, more creative ways to present your work. It makes people more interested and anticipate, pick their interest into your work. Alright, so the next question: what surprised you the most about this very book? What surprised you the most?
Right, well, it had to be surprised by something that you created, if I'm allowed to use that word. So now I understand how this is not set in stone, because sometimes as artists you just begin a piece and even you are a passenger, the story takes off and you just have to follow it, right? So in those cases you can even be shocked at how the plot goes. So that sometimes you're total control, and I understand that. So for hypnosis, I think the thing that would surprise me the most, or that has surprised me the most so far about hypnosis, is so like I just explained, it's about getting different characters and trying to put them together and trying to get people to relate with these people. So a lot of people have read hypnosis since it was released, right? And when I have made it a point of duty to sign each copy that I sell. So I know who I'm selling to, so I sign your copy and I send it to you. Now, so when I sell a copy, or when I send it out, I have somewhere at the back of my mind, I have my thoughts as to which character this person would relate to more, right? So then when I ask and when I get to discuss with my readers after they've read, I just find that I'm really off. Most times I'm just totally off, and I find that they relate to another character so deeply, and then I don't get to tell them what my opinion was in the first place. I don't even get to tell them that I have an opinion, right? But it's been the most surprising thing how characters who are contrasting in a lot of ways tend to merge. This is something I've known, or I've discovered even before hypnosis, but this kind of throws more light on it. So I just had to sit and watch people get absorbed into characters that I would not even imagine that they could relate to. So that has been the most surprising thing so far about hypnosis.
Okay, that is very beautiful. That is indeed beautiful. Like for a writer, an author, someone who just puts these things together, and you have all the characters ready just for your audience and your readers to connect to a character you would never imagine they would have connected to. It something beautiful, something worth putting a smile on your face. So on to the next question. We're almost done. Okay, so what challenges did you face while writing the book or when publishing? Did you have any challenge during the writing process or the publishing?
So the really new challenge that I can think of right now would be the work. You know, there's this joke that we always make as writers. We say that well, the joke, we have very many variants of the joke, but it's just how writers want to do everything else but write. So the most difficult thing for writers is the actual work, which is wake up and write, edit, do your work. So that was my major challenge. I said briefly before, I tried to explain the things that preceded the book, how I wasn't writing poetry and I needed to learn afresh to write poetry. So the process was as exciting as it was draining and difficult. I had to navigate my way through. I had to write and discover that I did not like it that much, and then I had to write again. Then I had to write and then fall in love with my poetry all over again. So it took a long time from the time I began the book, the hypnosis, to when I finished. That was the major challenge, the actual work, because I needed it to be of a certain standard, writing, the editing. There's also the fact that I for some reason did not want to share it with anyone else. At least a bulk of it, a few poems I shared with my friends, but most of it I just kept to myself. I feel it would have been much better if I worked with someone, because you know how art works. When you put minds together, things kind of get clearer, opinions and ideas flow, right? So it was mostly the work that was the major challenge. Once I had the work done, there really wasn't anything left to do. So the publishing was sweet, seeing as I self-published, or rather Diawords published it. So Diawords it's a publishing brand that I founded years ago. It has published a lot of titles for very many people in different genres. So it wasn't that difficult publishing. Yes. So there's also the challenge of publicity when it comes to poetry. Poetry today is not very mainstream. Well, books, no matter how you choose to look at the books, are not mainstream yet. Now, speak of poetry, that's another different case. But let's not make this a political talk now. But there's a question of publicity. So how many people get to learn about a book, a collection of poems, and then how do people react to it? All those things together. So these are general challenges that we writers and poets tend to experience. But aside those little challenges here and there was nothing that I couldn't scale past. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. We are grateful for sharing your struggles with us, and you can see that things are entirely not easy as it looks, but at the end of the day, everything will work out fine if we are determined that we want to see it work out. Thank you so much. Thank you. Last question for this session, because this session has been lively. I've learned a thing or two, more than that, Steve. So what advice do you have for aspiring writers, those people that want to try new things, people that want to publish their books in the nearest future? What advice do you have for them? What advice do you have for us? Yeah, so I feel that you've published quite a number of books, so you would tap from your well of knowledge.
So probably is the modesty, but I always like to get this question: what's my advice to aspiring writers? Most times when I get the question, I first have to ask myself, why would I be advising aspiring writers? I feel like I need a lot of advice myself, seeing as we're going somewhere and we're not even halfway to where we're going. So, but if we're being practical, I get the question a lot, and when I do, I find that there's always something to share. It doesn't matter where we are. There's always something we can share with with the next person, right? As we all progress in our journey. So, before you finished asking the question, I kind of got my answer from you, from the way you presented the question. Somewhere in there you mentioned a writer who wants to try new things, and it just stuck with me. So my advice, my very simple advice would be try new things. Really, the advice would be try new things. Be bold. So art has no boundaries, and your mind has no boundaries. So if you play by the rules as an artist, well, I'm not God, and I don't make the rules. Maybe you would get to where you want to be, maybe not. But I can promise you that you're most original when you trust yourself and let yourself fly. Let your mind fly, allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to think. Push away the boundaries, don't box yourself. Try new things. As long as you can visualize it in your mind, you can do it. As long as you can think about it, as long as you can conceptualize it, you can then go ahead to try to develop it, to try to execute it, and then you can sell. You don't always have to get it right at the first trial. It's okay to try and not get it, and then try again. So, but the most important thing, and the one advice I want to give to myself, to you, to everyone who might be listening to this, it doesn't matter whether you're an aspiring writer, you're an established writer, as long as you're an artist, do not ever be tired of reaching. Always reach further. Think, try something, try and try again. Try to break the bounds and keep flying. Do not tune your mind. Do not box yourself. Don't kid yourself. Keep flying. And then hopefully, and this is for aspiring writers who hope to publish or hope to reach new heights. Hopefully one day you will get what you're looking for, and it takes a lot of hard work, dedication. You have to do the actual work. Wake up and read, wake up and write, and then, well, everything else that you've heard, it doesn't sound any better coming from you. I believe that you know what to do. You just have to do it, and you'll get where you want to be.
Gracias. Namaste. Nagode. Thank you. I am gingered. I don't know who else this will be me, this answer. I am gingered to do better. I am gingered to do beyond the normal. So please, you all get ready when I'm gonna write something on Dodo. I hope you're gonna buy it. I hope you buy it too, Tochukwu, please, because when I settle down, because I have visualized Dodo, I have thought about it. It garrisons my heart, but it doesn't take the place of the Lord. But whatever the Lord made was beautiful, was good, was perfect, and so is Dodo. So when I write something on Dodo, write my book, I hope people will be ready to read it and go to the imagination land, because this advice has gingered me up, and I hope the advice has gingered fellow writers or aspiring writers, people who want to try something new. Do not cage yourself. You don't need to always play by the rules. The rules will cage you. Think outside the box. In fact, let there be no box. Break the box. Break it. Break the box. Just be creative. Be creative to do more, and you'll be surprised at the height you attain. You will be surprised. Thank you so much for today. Thank you for this session. I had a superb time. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. You've been super amazing. You've been an inspiration. I'm honored to have you on this episode, to have interviewed you. Thank you. 1,000 thank yous would never be enough. So people, if you've not gotten your hands on hypnosis, please get your hands on hypnosis, because you gotta travel and you gotta journey the journey that I journeyed as I flip through the pages. Please, you gotta get your hands. You gotta get your hands in this book and connect with the characters and feel what they feel, walk in their shoes and get to see through their eyes. You get? Yeah, I hope you do. I hope you do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tochukwu. I am grateful. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the ginger, and as well, for telling me my dodo is like top notch. And thank you for liking beans, because you can mix beans and dodo together. Nice combo, especially when it's hot. You get it, my guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Oluwatosin. I always wished that this would not come to an end, right? And that shows just how much I enjoyed speaking to you. And thank you for making this possible. I had fun speaking about my broken dog hypnosis. And then before I knew, I would be the first. Okay, let's not be in a hurry. I'll be one of the first 10 people to get your book when you do write it. And it has to be the book on Dodo. So that's how much of a fan I am. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, and you're welcome.
And that's about today's session. Okay, so that's a wrap. Because I enjoyed myself. I hope you enjoyed yourself too. Please don't forget my Dodo rant. You see, somebody is ready to read a book on Dodo, because I want to do the impossible, and I hope you are ginger to do the impossible too. I really enjoyed today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all learned something. Yes, you have something to take home, to reminisce on, and to ginger you. That work that you feel discouraged. Just pick yourself up again, get the motivation and the necessary ginger, the factors that will ginger you to push more, to achieve your aim. And I want to see you at the other side of victory, my people. So see you all next week. Where I'm gonna have another creative. Another creative. Please make sure you tune in so that we will journey again into the land of creativity and diversity. See y'all. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Poemify Podcast. We hope you enjoyed every bit of it. Did you? If yes, do well to share with your art-loving friends. It's the least you can do for art's sake, See you on the next episode.